things kind of come in twos sometimes. You know, something happens here and you move along, and something, you know, you close a door and another door opens. So when I left Tower of Power in 1995, I walked right into a solo deal with Epic Sony, because that was the label that Tower was on. So I did this album called Hidden Agenda, and got a real big hit with Smooth Operator, the Sade cover. And it went to #1 for 5 weeks, and the single, and the album also was doing really well. And so here I was out on my own, and I got this call for a session at A&M in Hollywood, and it was Miwa and Masa, and from Dreams Come True, and I had never heard of them. And this was for Miwa's first solo record, Beauty and Harmony. So they had a great band, and they've all done all the tracks in New York, and they came out to have me play in it. And it was kind of a coincidence, like I said earlier. Here was coincidence too, or here's another door. Since I was on Epic Sony, well, they were too. So, and so it kind of worked out. It was serendipitous that this happened. I played two solos on the record, and one was a flugelhorn solo. This is not the flugelhorn I played on this. That's a long time ago, and I just got this new one. As a matter of fact, I got this in Tokyo when I was over there on the Dreams Come True tour in 2019.
Did you exchange that, the one you play on the album?
Yeah,
to this?
yeah. It's funny. Another coincidence. The flugelhorn that I played the solo on Miwa's record was the one that I traded in Tokyo at Joy Brass, and got this. This is a Van Laar. It's an Arturo Sandoval model, and it's gold-plated, and I love it. It's a really, really sweet horn. The one that I traded in was a Canstel 1525, and it was a great horn for me, many, many years. You know, it was just time for me to move up and do something different in the flugelhorn. Another solo with the trumpet with a harmoniute, and I'll show you that one. And this is actually the horn I played the solo on. It's a bel canto, which was made for me. Actually, it's a custom model. It's got a G on the bell for Greg, and it's a harmoniute. So I played 2 solos on that record. They were such nice people, and it was like first take. You know, a lot of times we do a series of solos. We do like 3 comps, you know, and they can use one of them, or they can combine all 3 or 2 of them, and you know, they cut and paste. So, but I remember that was the first one that I did. So anyway.
And like, did you copy her melody from the main melody, right?
No, well, not on the trumpet solo. Right, on the flugel solo, yeah. I kept it simple, because it's one of those things where you, if it's a simple song, don't make it complicated. You know, that's my theory in life, pretty much. If it doesn't need anything more, don't add it. You know, so I just really kept it simple, and obviously, me being just a soloist and not the feature, it's her song. So, anyway, it was a mutual admiration society. We traded CDs and went our way. The session went so quick. I wish, after it was all over, my road manager, who was accompanying me at the time from the TV show I was doing, we had a car service picking us up at home and taking us to the studio, and then took us to A&M, and then took us home. But it went so fast. I said, man, we should have dragged it out a little bit more. They were such nice people. So anyway, fast forward a few months later, I get a call, and it's to do the tour of Japan for Miwa's Beauty and Harmony tour, and it's going to be the same band, which I said was Harvey and Michael Brecker and Ralph McDonald and Jay Winding on piano, and David T. Walker on guitar, and Chuck Rainey on bass, and myself, yours truly. Michael Brecker wasn't going to go because he'd been on the road for a long time with Paul Simon, so Eric Marienthal was asked, and I had never met Eric. So if you fast forward on that, we're, great friends to this day. So we've played quite a bit together. And in that relationship between Eric and I, we went on to do more things with Dreams Come True on tours with that. So that was great. We went over to Japan and we were there for about 30 days. Rehearsed probably 2 weeks out of those 30 days to learn the record. Because all of us, we do so many things. We had to kind of get together in a rehearsal studio and work on the show, work on relearn the music. So, but it was a great experience, and it was the beginning of a long relationship that I cherish to this day. And every time the phone rings and it's them calling for me to come in and work with them on a project, I drop everything. There was one one night we played in Sendai, in the city in Japan, and we had the night off, and Sendai's not a big town. And, so since we had a night off, we had found out that Miwa likes to bowl. And so we all went to a little 4-lane bowling alley that was like in a basement, I remember. And they shut it down, they closed, so we could go, and the whole band went, and it was kind of funny because you got to understand that we kind of treated Miwa like she was our little sister. It just the camaraderie became really tight friends. Everybody's looking out. Whatever Miwa wanted. It's if we had anything to do, we'd take care of it. So anyway, here we were bowling. We did this little tournament, and I know we used all 4 lanes, but I don't know how it happened. But if memory serves correct, well, number one, Miwa won. We made sure that was going to happen. So, and it was kind of funny because I guess they were used to having people, come and maybe have a contest, a bowling contest on it. Behind the counter where you got your shoe rental was a thing of trophies that you could buy to present to the winner. So we bought her a trophy, and it was fun. But we had some great times and some great meals together, some fabulous meals. And so anyway, the memories are very, very still to this day, and that was 1996, still very clear. There's a record I did with Dreams Come True again, Diamond 15. And this time we recorded here in the States, and it was Lee Thornburg on trumpet, myself on trumpet, Nick Lane on trombone, and Tom Scott on tenor. And this was going to be the kind of the beginning of them sending tracks to the States for me to arrange. And this was also their first time out now as a duo, not a trio. They'd send the files, we'd download them, and Masa would send me the charts, rhythm, and some mocked up horn parts and string parts and stuff like that. And we were, it was kind of like a guide of what he would do, what he was looking for. So in many cases I would, do exactly what he had mocked up because it all fit together. And or sometimes I'd come up with maybe another idea, and we'd do an overdub on another track, and just so he had it. If he liked what I did, he could use it, or he could not. And so we would do the recording session at Carmen Brillo's Big Surprise Music Studio in Encino, California, and Carmen on the other hand used to be a guitar player with Tower Power. This Love Rocks is in Capitol, and Al Schmidt was the engineer on it, and the horn section was Chuck Finley, Tom Scott, Nick Lane, Steve Holtman, we did it at Capital A, legendary studio. Al Schmidt, the legendary engineer, who I've done so many sessions with in the past, and always a pleasure to work with him. We had great tracks. It was a great experience. 20-foot bobtail truck, you know, with a lift, you know, that his cartage, it's full of anvil cases. And he has to have like a room the size of Capital A to roll all his stuff in there, and they set it up, and he's just got everything with him in case the producer asks for it. You know, a lot of times he doesn't play it all, but his cartage bill is like $2,500.
Wow. Who's we talking about?
Paulino da Costa, the percussionist. He's a great guy. I've known him forever. Do You Dreams Come True, which was in 2009, and this is kind of a crazy trip for me. I flew from LA to Tokyo, and I think I did 2 or 3 tracks on this record. And there had been a terrible tragedy in Miwa's family, and I didn't know if I was going to see her. And as it turns out, I didn't. But it was a time that was very sad. Anyway, I won't go any further than that. That's personal. Anyway, I flew in and arrived. I remember I stayed at the XL Hotel Shibuya, which is right above the train station. And I had the night off that I arrived, and I went down, because in Tokyo, the train stations are a great place to get food. But I was kind of jet lagged, and so it was convenient to go and get something to eat and come back up to the room and crash, because the next day was a session. So I arrived with my charts. I did them here at home in LA, and I have a big briefcase of the arrangements, and I get picked up. We go to Masa's studio, and it's great because on the date was Eric Mirashiro, who I've known for forever, probably. God, Eric, it's aging us 40 years at least. And he used to come to the shows with Tower, and we go out eating and drinking after the shows, and we had some wild stories about that, but that's another time. And
he's playing a screaming high note on this track. Though.
Yeah, he's a lead player. Did
you write that note?
I probably did.
Because you know it.
If I didn't, I say, Eric, can you take that up an octave? And he said, sure. If I didn't write it, I probably thought of it. Anyway, and also a young man that I met on that date, who has become a dear friend now, a saxophone player, Masato Honma, and he and I played on the Wonderland 30th anniversary tour, Dreams Come True, in 2019. And on trombone, Makoto Igarashi. It was a nice little 4-piece section. And Masa's got a great studio, home studio. And so we knocked it out. I think we did 2 or 3 tracks on this record. And since the section was so good, we were done pretty quick. And I remember it was a strange time because of the circumstances, and there wasn't really any socializing on this trip. It was an in and out for me, and I knew before I left LA what was going on, and it was kind of sad, but you know, the show must go on, as they say here and everywhere.
Yeah.
Later in 2009, I get the call for Beauty and Harmony 2. And it seems like it's a very healing time, I thought, for Miwa to embark on her second solo CD, which to me, in my heart, because the meaning of the first time I worked with them was with her solo CD. I flew into New York to be on the sessions in New York because I had done all the arrangements for horns and strings, and it was the same crew, Masa producing, but it was a little different because we did half the record in New York and half the record in LA, and it was really quite a musical record. The band this time in New York was Randy Brecker, Michael Brecker, myself, David Spinoza on guitar, Omar Hakim on drums, Will Lee on bass, and Bob James on piano. Quite a band, huh? I don't know if it was the last time they played together, but it was the first time in 12 years, Randy and Michael Brecker. I've known Randy and Michael for forever. Not really close, but friends, you know. Our paths cross once in a while. I remember I almost jumped into the pool at the Intercontinental Hotel in Helsinki, Finland. Randy was doing laps, and I thought I'd just jump in the pool, but I didn't have my glasses on, so I can't see much without my glasses, and I narrowly missed him doing a cannonball. And I didn't see him, I didn't know who it was, and I came up, and it was him, and I said, oh, hi Randy. Anyway, to write for the Brecker brothers was an honor, and I wanted to do an homage to their style. So there's a cut on the record where I really cut loose and they trade back and forth solos, and I did all the intricate harmonies that they're known for, as like in skunk funk or something like that. And I wrote 4-part harmonies, so they overdubbed all 4 parts, and it was really a thrill, and it came out great. And that was one of the cool things and inventive things is the fact that Miwa and Masa, obviously on the Beauty and Harmony albums, because they were more jazz than pop, although it's still pop, but it has a jazz element to it, was the ability to put teams together of players and really make a statement, you know, and really it's a real knack to do that. You know, you can just make a call to a contractor and I need this guy, this guy, this guy. They could put together legendary players, and so hats off to them. I'm so proud to have been included in that. Miwa likes themes, and she has opening themes on a lot of the Dreams Come True records, and on Beauty and Harmony 2, there was a very beautiful a cappella melody that she sang by herself, and I suggested, asked, since we have the strings on the other tracks, can I do a little arrangement on this theme of yours? I hear something on it. So they said yes, and I did it, and it kind of bookended the record. She opened it with her theme, and I ended the record with my theme, my version of her theme. And but in between, oh boy, the magic is a beautiful record. So we used the New York band, and then we came to LA, and we used, once again, Chuck Rainey, David T., this time Joe Sample on keyboards, and once again it was Eric and me on the horns. And so we did it at Capitol, and Al was the engineer, And so we all went to dinner. It's a French-Japanese restaurant in West Hollywood that I can't remember the name. It's no longer there because the owners, who was Japanese and a French chef, he and his wife, it was just a small little restaurant, but it was Joe Sample's favorite restaurant in LA. He loved it, and he ate there often, I think once a week. And I will say, so sadly, the late Joe Sample. Anyway, we met there. Now this was Joe and his wife, Niwa Masa, Lisa, Al, and Andrea and myself. And it was Japanese French style, and it was just the best. And we had a great time that night. And sometimes you do these sessions with people, and yeah, the session was great, but the hang was even better. And Niwa and Masa are such a great hang. They're just the most charming people, and that's the memories. Musically, obviously, that's the chemistry. But after that, if you can mix and mingle and be friends, then that makes everything more valuable and more memorable. And I remember sitting on stage last 2019 at the Wonderland tour, and Miwa had just walked on the stage. We were sound checking or something like that, and I saw her just kind of standing there. She would look like she was not really deep in thought, but she was just kind of standing there. I thought, I'm going to play the opening 3-4 bars of the Beauty and Harmony 2 theme, a cappella, just like she sang it. I had my new flugelhorn, which was just playing like crazy. It was just so good. And I played the opening notes to that. And she looked at me and she just kind of collapsed on the floor. It was like such a memory, and it was like, it kind of, to me, I said to Andrea, I want to play that for her and see how she reacts, because I think it'll be a great reaction. And it was, I didn't expect her to fall for it, but she just kind of swooned, and it was a beautiful moment to see her react to that beautiful melody that she had wrote and sang. And it was kind of a closer for that little story I just told you. Well, that does it for this one. We'll be back next week, and we'll be talking about the 2019 Dreams Come True 30th Anniversary Wonderland Tour, which was in itself an amazing musical experience for me. On the epic scale of you can't believe it. We can't show you any part of the footage because we can't. That's just the way it goes. But I have a personal collection of photographs that I have that took during the tour and that I can show you, and it's kind of inside stuff. Johnny Beaumont, the baritone player that plays in my band, actually Barry alto, tenor, flute, East Bay Soul, and Michael Stever, lead trumpet player for East Bay Soul. The three of us went to Tokyo for this tour. It was over 3 months that we were there. We came back and forth and back and forth. And I wrote the show as far as the horn section goes. It was an 8-piece horn section, spectacular. 3 trumpets, 2 bones, and 3 saxes. You won't believe it. So we'll talk to you next week, and I'll have a lot of pictures. See ya.